Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about life after decluttering, and I also want to try to fix some socks. So I've been decluttering my life for the past over 7 years now, and I would say I'm a minimalist, but the big part of decluttering and minimalism kind of lies behind me. Saying it that way doesn't mean that I'm not a minimalist anymore. I still do live by many minimalist values. I consume very intentionally and slowly, and I declutter the things that don't serve me. I focus my energy and priorities on the things that matter to me in life. But it's really just not so much of a focus anymore in my everyday life, like decluttering and minimalism, because now I can just focus on my life, on the things and people I care about, instead of focusing on my stuff. And so I really want to share a few things with you that I'm looking forward doing in the next few months, and maybe it can be an inspiration, maybe it's something that you want to do as well. And it doesn't of course mean that you can't do these things if you're not done decluttering or not even a minimalist. It's just things I want to share with you and how life for me is after decluttering and minimalism. Let's get started. And as I said, I have some socks here, and also this was a sock once, but I took it apart because it was just not fixable anymore. And I try to fix, these are very small pieces, maybe, these are too small. I need to have bigger pieces. It's not something I like doing too much, so it's not one of my things that I love doing now that I've done decluttering my life, but I like knitting and I like being sustainable, and so I think fixing these socks that I've knit in the past is also a great way to just consume more slowly, be more intentional, and care for the things that I have and that bring me value. So let's take this double, because this is a thick sock, and if I fix it with thin yarn, it's not gonna work out. So I actually made a list of things that I really want to do this spring or even summer, and I wanted to share it with you. And the first thing really goes hand in hand with decluttering, and that's maybe even decluttering, and it's joy of missing out. And I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of fear of missing out, which would mean that you sit at home and you really fear that you're missing opportunities, that you should actually be doing this and that, and maybe you're even looking at Instagram and seeing all these other people having these perfect lives, and you think you're the only one who does not have a great life like that. And the fear of missing out is terrible, of course, because it feels like your life is so much worse. I'm happy that I haven't had this problem in a long time. But then the joy of missing out is of course the opposite of being absolutely okay with not doing the things that our people think are great or important. And so I do want to kind of cultivate that joy of missing out, being completely fine with doing something that, maybe seems boring, but being living a stress-free time and doing things you feel comfortable with is absolutely something worth doing, I think. But the next thing is actually kind of the opposite, because while I think joy of missing out is very much so being in your comfort zone and just not trying too hard and allowing yourself to do nothing, the next thing is actually swimming again. And by swimming, I actually mean in lakes and in natural waters. This spring, I want to start swimming again. And cold water, the last thing I would do is taking a cold shower. I really hate it. And so that is kind of a mixture between doing something like a cold shower that just feels terrible for me, so stepping out of my comfort zone, having courage and doing something that doesn't feel comfortable. But on the other hand, it's also always great. I remember every time I went swimming, especially if it was nice weather and lighting and everything, it was just amazing no matter how cold I felt. And so that's really something I want to do again, because I think it brings me so much joy. And so I want to start this spring before it's summer and super normal to go swimming, because I also think it's great going in the morning and in a season where there are not so many people, and just enjoying the calm silence of having the lake to yourself. Ooh, number 3 is an important one, but it's not really something you can tick off on your bucket list, and it's actually caring less. And by that, I don't mean like not caring for my friends and for like the environment. These are things that are really important to me, but more so caring less about like fitting certain standards and fitting in certain boxes. On my YouTube channel, for example, I've made so many videos about minimalism. I just realized that there's not so much I really still want to say about minimalism. Of course, maybe sometimes something, but I really want to get out of these boxes and caring less about fitting into like being a good minimalist, being a good sustainable living person, being the perfect, I don't know, just things that maybe just don't feel authentic to me. I want to be able to be myself, no matter if it means that you can't really put a label on it, or if it means that I change my opinion, or if it means that I sometimes don't achieve something that I wanted to do. But I just do want to honor myself and be kind to myself and allow myself to just be. It's getting a bit more complicated here. And it's kind of, this is called Swiss darning, where I like re-stitch the stitches that have been lost. But on the other hand, the problem is that, it takes a lot of time, but it makes like the best fixing thing, and it feels the best wearing it after it's done that way. Another thing I really want to do this spring and summer is travel more. Now, I don't think that's like as easy as the previous things, because I can't just like decide one day like I'm going to travel today. But there's actually one trip planned in the beginning of June that I'm really looking forward to. And other than that, like there won't be that much traveling, but maybe it can also kind of include planning, and maybe we're gonna go somewhere in August, but nothing is planned yet. And as you might know, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, I just really love traveling. And of course, it has been kind of difficult during the past few years, but it's also kind of difficult because it's really expensive, and my son is in school, so I can't just travel whenever I want. But it's just really something that makes me so happy, that I like doing so much, and so I try to incorporate traveling into my life. And the other thing I missed is like it's very unsustainable, and that's another thing that like bothers me. But yeah, I think there are ways to travel at least more sustainably. But there's one thing, this video is titled Life After Minimalism, but there are some things that still are like, I didn't say after minimalism, life after decluttering. Decluttering is never like 100% over. It just kind of becomes a habit and doesn't consume so much time anymore. That's at least what I believe. Let me know if you have like a different opinion. But what I mean is I do want to find a solution for my yarn. Now I'm using some of my yarn to fix socks and knit socks, but I have all of this yarn that's for my knitting business. As you might know, I have a knitting business and an online shop where you can buy a few knitted things that I made out of secondhand yarn. So it's very sustainable, very like unique and everything. So that's all linked down below in the description. But I just have so much yarn, and it's not really working out, this whole knitting business, the way I wanted it, or I'm just, reality hits after trying, and I have to find a solution. So I don't want to keep that much yarn around, especially because most of the yarn, there's no plan for it. It's just sitting around, and I don't know if it's going to be here for 1 month, 1 year, or 1 decade. I want to change it. I don't just want to throw it away, because obviously sustainability, and I bought this yarn. I don't just want to make meaningless stuff and then give it away, because it takes a lot of time and effort, and I want to create something intentional. But maybe it's still gonna be the solution to give away another part of it, like that I'm just not seeing myself using. Maybe I'm just gonna knit more stuff and find a way to sell or give that away somehow. I'm not sure. So that's why it is on my bucket list. I do want to find a solution for it, because I'm not happy with it right now, and I don't want to like find a solution right today and then maybe waste resources because I think like I'm overwhelmed, I want to get rid of it, let's just declutter it and throw it away, because that's why I want to give it time. I want to find a good solution and I hope I will this summer. And that's also to encourage you, to just see that decluttering and living a minimalist, intentional life can be a process, and it maybe never really stops. But it's beautiful, and it's more sustainable, and you learn so much about yourself and can be so intentional about like your surroundings and actually having the life you want to live. So I think it's absolutely worth it, but it takes time and effort. And it's okay if you've been doing it for years and you're not like completely done. It's absolutely normal. Ooh, another thing I want to do this spring and summer is do nothing. And by that, I really mean do nothing. And actually, I've talked about it in like one of the latest podcast episodes on my podcast with Paulina. I'm gonna link you the episode down below actually, and you can always check out the podcast, that's always linked down below. But we talked about slow living, and one of the things, like one of the tips I have for everyone and for myself is intentionally do absolutely nothing, either in the form of like meditation or some other form that works for you, but like really stop what you're doing and do nothing for a moment. Even try to think nothing. It's always kind of a struggle because I know I love the feeling of like intentionally doing nothing for a minute, for 10 minutes maybe. And after that, I'm usually so much more creative and it just helps me in my everyday life. But I still think it's so hard to do it because there's always something we can do. We can always take out our phones, we can always listen to music, watch a show, work, cook, clean, talk to people. But I think sometimes it's really a good idea to absolutely do nothing. And so I want to do more of that. Another thing that sometimes feels hard, but doesn't have to be that hard, and I want to do more of it this spring and summer, is go hiking. So hiking is something I've loved since I was a child, but I just always think I could do it and then I never do it, and that's really sad. So I want to make it a priority to go on a few hikes. It does take some effort, like I have to use the train most likely and go somewhere to go hiking, but it's just, I think it's great moving my body, seeing something new, experiencing the seasons, pushing myself to the limit when I have to go uphill for like more than an hour. And it's also kind of like a micro adventure. It's almost traveling, but if you can't travel, then at least going like hiking, for me, it kind of fulfills the same purpose and can give me some of that joy. So I really want to focus on making it possible, just doing it, because it's possible, I can do it. I do have like to find the time and plan it, but I want to go for some hikes this spring and summer. And then another thing I want to do, and that might seem like counterintuitive, I want to consume. And what I want to consume like is media, and what I mean is like books and movies and like articles on the internet and social media, but I want to like consume things that make me feel good. So one part of that is easy, and that's like watching TV shows. That I like. That's like, I don't have to put any effort into doing that. But what I also really like is like learning new things, but learning new things in a very fun way. So if I stumble upon something, then I go like read the Wikipedia article about it, or I can like just research a bit on the web or search up hashtags and see what other people talk about and what their opinions are. And it has happened actually to me a few times during the past few days, and I just always love it. If I realize that I'm like learning about something I haven't known anything about, or if somebody like in a social media post or anything changes my opinion and then like makes me research it more and think about why I thought that way or this way. And it usually happens with like social issues and things that I was maybe aware of and I had like a loose opinion, but then I see this like other perspective and I think like, oh wow, I thought so wrong about these things, and now I'm learning that actually it's this and that and that. And of course I'm always pursuing these things in like a way of learning more, especially from like either scientific sites or the sides of people that are like knowledgeable, maybe people that suffer because of that and their perspectives. I really like learning more and knowing more and understanding more, and so that's also something I want to do. And for me that also means maybe like reading books that maybe I wouldn't have read because watching a TV show is easier, and really searching up things on the internet if I stumble upon something and it sparks my interest, instead of like just brushing by and forgetting about it again. I'm not even halfway done with my first sock, but you can kind of see, let me show you here, that's the start, and you can see like what I'm doing here. but it's still gonna be a lot of work and it's not something I enjoy doing, but I think it really helped that I started on this video, and I hope I can continue and finish, you know, and now it's like summer and you don't need the warm socks anymore. But they're gonna at least be ready for next winter. That's good as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. And I actually do want to link you a video here about 8 rules I follow to live a more happy life. I think it really fits with this video if you liked it. I also want to thank all of my patrons, all of the people who support me with super thanks, or just to all of you who gave me this much time of your life to watch my content. Thank you so much, and I do hope to see you there or in my next video. Goodbye!